Hello, this is Alexandra Kitty. This is Officer Down, a podcast where we look at victims of crime who happen to be in law enforcement. Last season, we talked about traditional cases where police officers died in the line of duty. Season 2 takes a very different turn. We're still looking at police officers who died as a result of homicide, but it's more of the typical kind of homicides where it could be anybody. So it's not on the line of duty. It's domestic. It's other things that we associate with traditional true crime. So today, we're going to look at CPD Officer German Villaseñor, who was an American officer who died in 2021. So when the badge offers no protection, we can see what happens with the tragedy of Officer German Villaseñor. So on November 2nd, 2021, Chicago police officer German Aurelio Villaseñor, who was 44, was shot and killed in his Northwest Side home during an off-duty domestic dispute with his wife Jacqueline Villaseñor, 39, who was also a Chicago police officer. According to prosecutors, Jacqueline pulled out a gun during an argument and threatened to kill herself. When German attempted to wrestle the weapon away from her, the gun discharged, striking him in the chest. He died at an area hospital shortly thereafter. Jacqueline was charged with involuntary manslaughter and after nearly 4 years of legal proceedings, pleaded guilty in May 2025 to one count of involuntary manslaughter, receiving a sentence that would result in her serving only 7 days in state. The case sparked outrage from German's family, who accused the justice system of giving Jacqueline special treatment because she was a police officer. So let's talk about the victim. German Aurelio Villaseñor was born on April 29, 1977. He was 44 years old at the time of his death. He served as a Chicago police officer assigned to the 25th District Grand Central. The 25th District covers a diverse section of Chicago's northwest side, including the neighborhoods of Humboldt Park, Austin, Avondale, Hermosa, Belmont, Cragen, Logan Square, Montclair, and Dunning. As of 2021, the 25th District was facing significant public safety challenges common to many Chicago neighborhoods during the post-pandemic crime surge. German and Jacqueline had been married for years and had 2 teenage children together, a daughter and son, both of whom were in high school at the time of their father's death. German's parents, including his mother, Leticia Gonzalez, lived in Mexico and were unable to travel to Chicago for court proceedings due to his father's poor health. They watched the sentencing hearing via Zoom from Mexico in May 2025. So let's talk a little bit about the perpetrator, Officer Jacqueline Villaseñor. She was 39 years old at the time of the shooting, was also a Chicago police officer. Both her and German were off duty at the time of the incident. According to court documents and prosecutors, German and Jacqueline were arguing about an alleged affair in the hours before the shooting. The exact nature and details of the alleged infidelity were not publicly disclosed, but it formed the central conflict that led to the fatal confrontation. So let's talk a little bit of Chicago and the 25th District. The Northwest Side home is something we should discuss. So the shooting occurred in the couple's home in the 8500 block of West Winona Street on Chicago's far northwest side. The address placed them in the 25th Police District's jurisdiction. As for Chicago crime stats in 2021, Chicago was experiencing a surge in violent crime in 2021, part of a nationwide spike during the COVID-19 pandemic. Homicides in 2021, 797 in total murders, a 3% increase from 2020's 772 murders. Aggravated assaults peaked in summer of 2021. Gun assaults peaked in July 2021 at 831 incidences, a 30.8% per 100,000 residents. As for domestic violence, followed a consistent seasonal pattern, peaking between May and July at 600 to 650 incidences. The 25th District, like many Chicago districts, was stretched thin during this period, dealing with elevated crime levels and officer staffing challenges. So now, timeline of the incident. So Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021, in the evening hours, German and Jacqueline Villaseñor, both off-duty Chicago police officers, were at their home in the 8500 block of West Winona Street on the northwest side. So then the couple began arguing about an alleged affair. The dispute escalated as emotions ran high. During the heated argument, Jacqueline pulled out her service weapon and threatened to shoot herself. According to prosecutors and court documents, she allegedly pulled out a gun and threatened to shoot herself. Both struggled over the weapon and he was shot. German, attempting to intervene and prevent his wife from harming herself, wrestled with Jacqueline over the gun. During the struggle, the weapon discharged, striking him in the chest. Then she called 911 and emergency services were called to the residence. German was rushed to the area hospital where he was pronounced dead. So now on to the investigation. On November 4th, 2021, Jacqueline Villaseñor was charged with one felony count of involuntary manslaughter in the shooting death of her husband. She was released after posting a $1,000 bond, a decision that immediately drew criticism from German's family and advocates. German's parents and family advocates alleged that from the onset that Jacqueline received preferential treatment because she was a Chicago police officer. Pastor Julie Contreras, representing the family through the United Giving Hope, stated, German Villaseñor's parents alleged Jacqueline was given special treatment when she was processed and charged because she was a police officer. In December 2021, the couple's teenage daughter spoke in court, defending her mother and describing the shooting as an accident. The children also wrote letters to the court, asking the judge to keep their family together and allow their mother to remain with them, stating, It's been a heartbreaking challenge learning to live without their father. Taking their mother would cause them more suffering. They say she's all they have. The daughter called the court. It was a terrible accident, and it was not on purpose. My family loves each other. And then there was the plea deal in May 2025. So nearly 4 years after the shooting, on May 27th, 2025, Jacqueline Villaseñor appeared in the Leeton Criminal Courthouse and pleaded guilty to one count of involuntary manslaughter as part of a plea agreement. So as to sentencing, the official sentence was 6 years and 4 months in prison. Time served, approximately 3 years already served on electronic home monitoring. The actual prison time, with sentencing guidelines and credit for time served, Jacqueline would serve only 7 days in the Illinois Department of Corrections. In court, Jacqueline tearfully told the judge, There's not a day that goes by that I don't miss him. Her attorney, Tim Grace, characterized the case as a tragedy. This is a real tragic case. This is a case where a husband and wife, obviously in trauma, a very bad situation. And something very unfortunate happened. Jacqueline produced a weapon and was intent to harm herself. Her husband, German, a great police officer, attempted to stop her, and the gun went off. However, German's family expressed deep dissatisfaction with the outcome, though they ultimately supported the plea deal due to his father's declining health. Pastor Julie Contreras, speaking on behalf of the family, they are not 100% in agreement with it, but they respect the decision of the court. His parents are elderly, and his father is ailing, and he didn't think he would ever see justice if they went to trial. She also stated, a few days serving in the Illinois Department of Corrections. We've seen that special treatment again today for Jacqueline Villaseñor and her crocodile tears. In a written victim impact statement read in court, German's mother, Leticia Gonzalez, wrote, Justice for my son, Chicago police officer German Villaseñor, will bring little peace, and it will give our heartbroken family closure. She also wrote, I will never see his beautiful smile again. I will never hear his voice. Jacqueline is evil and knew exactly what she was doing when she shot my son right in the heart. Jacqueline Villaseñor's sentence is not enough. As for the aftermath, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, COPA, conducted an investigation into the off-duty officer-involved shooting, as required by Chicago law. On December 29, 2021, COPA released materials related to the case, including video, audio, and Chicago Police Department records. The case reignited long-standing debates in Chicago about whether police officers receive preferential treatment in criminal justice system, particularly in cases where officers are accused of crimes. Critics pointed to the relatively low bond, $5,000, set for Jacqueline after being charged with manslaughter, the final sentence of effectively 7 days in state prison for killing another person, the framing the incident as an accident despite Jacqueline having produced a weapon and escalated the situation. The couple's two teenage children were left to navigate the loss of their father and the criminal prosecution of their mother, a burden no child should bear. Their public pleas for leniency reflected the impossible position they were placed in, caught between grief for their father and loyalty to their mother. So unlike cases where police officers use their positions or training to harm others, German Villaseñor was the victim of violence in his own home. His badge, his training, and his years of experience protecting Chicago residents offered him no protection when the threat came from within his marriage. The Villaseñor case illustrates the hidden crisis of domestic violence within police families. While Jacqueline's defense characterized the shooting as an intervention gone wrong, German trying to stop her from harming herself, the underlying dynamics, an escalating argument, the production of a weapon, threats of self-harm are classic warning signs of domestic volatility. The perception and the family's allegation that Jacqueline received special treatment because she was a police officer raises uncomfortable questions about equality before the law. A sentence that results in 7 days in state prison for killing another person, even if ruled accidental or unintentional, is extraordinarily rare for civilians. German Villaseñor spent his career responding to domestic disputes, violence, and crisis in Chicago's 25th district. Yet when faced with a crisis in his own home, his training couldn't save him. The death of Chicago police officer Villaseñor on November 2nd, 2021, stands as a heartbreaking reminder that police officers, despite their training and experience, are vulnerable to the same domestic violence that affects countless families across the globe. German died trying to prevent his wife from harming herself, a final act of protection that cost him his life. His children lost their father, his parents in Mexico lost their son, and the Chicago Police Department lost a dedicated officer. The subsequent legal proceedings, resulting in a sentence of effectively 7 days in prison for his wife, left German's family without a sense of justice they sought and reignited debates about accountability and privilege within the criminal justice system. As his mother wrote, "Justice for my son will bring little peace, and it will give our heartbroken family closure. That peace for many remains elusive." So a lot of times we think, well, what happens if a police officer is a victim of a homicide? Sometimes it's not what we believe it will be. And yet, on the other hand, we have the same debates as what if a police officer is the one who commits the homicide? Will they get the same sentence as if a civilian did? So this case kind of goes on both sides and gives us a glimpse of what the answer is. So next week is another case, and I hope I gave you something to ponder. So until next time, ta-ta for now.